did a costume change?
No, I just took my jumper off and put a t-shirt on instead because initially when I first started talking to you, I was like half dressed like you sort of thing, innit? Just chilling. And then I put a jumper on because it was quite chilly. And then like, I thought because it's my friend's place that I'm like staying in at the moment.
Yeah.
Thought he put the gas on and put the heating on, but he's like, nah, I'll turn it off. So I was like, I'll just open up the window for a little bit then and get a bit of fresh air.
Yeah,
but
you
yeah,
just
so
mentioned it at this time, Sean, and I knew this basically almost from the moment we started talking and everything like that. Let me tell you, I got to have you as a return guest on this show because this some of these topics we're talking about are very. The audience wants to know this stuff. It's very, very pertinent information. And so, yeah, by all means, let's continue and let's start this, part of the interview with hearing about these experiences that you've personally been having.
So I've already talked about the first one, which was the first premonition, right? And then I kind of touched base about how I was at my nan's for a little while and how she explained her thing. And then I was explaining about, but I'll get back to the nan thing.
Okay.
Because it all kind of ties in, and you'll see how it ties in.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to do it logically in my brain, right?
Uh-huh.
So from that, I then went and I spoke to, like I said, my stepdad's dad, who he's a person that enjoys culture. You know, he enjoys like the Native American
yes, that's what we were talking
way
about.
of thinking, being spiritual.
Yeah.
Like he said, like, Sean, I know you was baptized as a Christian, and I was like, at the age of, I'm going on to about 14 years old now, roughly. Just this was the pinnacle point before I moved to my dad's, which that also ties in. Do you know what I said about the Dumbs and London Underground? That ties in with my dad. We'll get to that in a minute, right? It's all kind of like fate, how I'm in this role. Like, but believe you me, yeah, when I say, if I could take myself out of the situation I'm in and let anyone else have the situation, I would. And you typically hear it because the thing is, yeah, it's nice having these things, but the way that they fuck you up mentally is insane, you know? And I'll touch base on that as well later on in. Because a lot of people who know me will say, well, how can anyone take him serious? You know, like he's had his ups and downs, but I'm like anyone. I'm just a normal human being. 29, going to be 30 this year. I look at my life as a birthday cake, you know.
As a what?
I look at my life as a birthday cake.
As a birthday cake?
A birthday cake, yeah. So you cut your birthday cake in half, right? You've got 2 slices. That's 50 years on each slice, right? You then cut them into quarters. Now that's 25 in each one of those segments, yeah? I've already consumed one of those segments. That's gone. So I've got 3 more segments left to get out what I know. So the generation of tomorrow will know what it is that is out there, you know?
But things are that bad for you that you wish that you would let somebody else have your life? It's that bad?
I would say no, not my essence, not the person that makes me, you know. Everyone calls it a soul. I don't call it that. I look at it as an aura, an energy, or like an essence. It's your essence, you know. Mm-hmm. Like without your essence, you're not you. You're just a mindless corpse, or like a zombie from The Walking Dead or something, right? That's how I differentiate from it. So again, my step granddad said to me, yeah, he said at the time, he was like, look, because he separated me from everyone. Everyone was in the house doing their own thing, and he separated me. He took me into this room where he had all these little models of Indians, and you know, he knew a lot, right? And he handed me something, and he goes, right, what I'm giving to you now is very, very important to me. I was like, okay, what is it? He's like, it is an Indian dream catcher. I was like, oh, well, can you explain what it is? He's like, what it is you put it above your bed. And what it does is it captures and holds all the manifestation of negative energies that you may manifest or have manifested upon you. I was like, okay. He goes, I'm not saying that what you have is negative because I look at it as a positive. He goes, a lot of people would say to you that you're mentally ill because they don't understand or they haven't seen what your mum has witnessed with you recently with your experience, you know, like the premonition and then whatnot. And so he explained to me that, like, it was a gift. It clarified then in my mind what Manan was saying to me, and that, like, I weren't picked for this role. I weren't put in this role. I was just, my mum and dad fell in love. They had me. It's just a love story, But eventually the love story spiraled out of control, and it led me to be the person that I am, right? So, again, at this point, I'm still curious as to what he's got to say. And he was like, right, he's like, so you're going to have this Indian dream catcher above you, and this is going to absorb all your bad nightmares, all these things that are keeping you up at night. And for a long time, it worked until one day, the plastic manifold of it broke. It literally, I was sleeping, and when I woke up, it was just in shatters, like in pieces on top of me on my duvet. And I was like, huh. So I threw it away, like not knowing, but I believe now I should have burnt that, because if it had collected such a big manifested negative energy and it caused it to pop, it's just released it again.
Where is it now?
Exactly. I don't know, right? So for a little while, that kind of did help until that happened, right? And then again, I went when I next went to go and see him. I told him what happened, and he said, right. He goes, now I'm going to explain to you a few little things. So I was like, right. He's like, your mum's told me of that one experience at the egg farm. I was like, right. He's like, have you had any other experiences? And I was like, well, this is where it gets a bit weird. He goes, why? I said, well, when I was at my nan's, I'm now talking about my dad's mum again, when I was there and we had that discussion. I was out like a kid, At this time, I was interested in Pokemon cards, so I went out there with my Pokemon cards and my skateboard. I was skateboarding in the streets and didn't really know no one. I was in the streets of London as a kid, like just doing my own thing with a few of my cousins and that. And again, I had a premonition. I just felt that someone was in trouble in the block of flats, and I said to my cousin, look, I feel that there's something going in there. My older cousin... see, I haven't spoke to him, but his name is Alistair, yeah? And I love all my family, right? Regardless of how they think of me or what they think of me or whatnot. And so me and him went into this block of flats, and there was literally this man banging on this woman's door, kicking off, drunk, threatening to kill her when he got in that flat, and threatening to kill and harm the kid, right? So the kid at this point was outside and didn't know what was going on. So me and my cousin, we grabbed the kid, we took the child to my nana's. My nana made her some food and sat her down and calmed her down and whatnot, because she didn't know why she was there, sort of thing. And then me, my cousin, and my uncle, like, this is my dad's younger brother, my Uncle Craig. He then told me to stay put, because, like, he could see that I was in a fragile state, like, I'd grown up the majority of my life. Yeah, I was born and raised.
Was the child still with y'all when he said that?
Pardon?
Was the child still with y'all when he said that?
Yeah, the daughter of the arguing couple was sat in my nan's kitchen, and she was eating like a homemade pizza and stuff that we'd all decided to make and stuff, and we all, done our own little things to chip in to help. But like I said, I told what had happened to my Uncle Craig and my nan. My Uncle Craig went and solved the situation by diffusing it, by telling the guy that if he didn't fuck off and leave the woman alone, he was going to kick the shit out of him. So the geezer listened to my uncle. So that kind of diffused. And then, but again, my nan said, oh, thank you, Sean. She goes, see, this proves to you right now that what your mum and your stepdad have said to you about foresight and telling the truth is complete bullshit. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, well, if you hadn't have told us what had happened, again, with your foresight, she could have got injured. The woman could have got injured. Anything could have happened. And again, I was just doing what I thought was the best and the right thing at that time. And this is the thing. That is the same vibes I'm getting now with talking to you. I'm getting those vibes that I need to express, not so much with what I'm talking about with my personal life or whatnot, but the experience that I'm going to lead into, and that's, again, a very fundamental thing. And again, I want people to know that, like, yeah, I do believe there is contact because, like you said, you've addressed me as a contactee. Yeah, like, cool. I appreciate that. I've only had the one experience of a contact meeting. That's the key thing there, right? One. I don't know if it's ever going to happen again. I'm under the impression it could because of a suggestion of that talk, right? So going back to what I was saying, so that situation happened and then my dad got wind of it, right? Because obviously there's arguments, there's hysterics, there's commotion, you know, people in the area knew my family, like that, my dad's family, you know, because that's who I was with then. But my dad, he's always been an independent person. He knew that, like, the way he wanted to live was completely separate from how, you know, some people would want to live. He's a very self-contained. He doesn't like talking about his personal stuff. And if someone was to confront him and ask him personal questions, he would say, "It's none of your fucking business. Get lost." Now, because I've seen him be that and have that attitude towards life, I've took a different approach. And this is why I don't care what happens to me. Like I explained to you, I don't care if people get wind and they beat me up in the street. I don't care if people look at me and they say, "You're crazy, you know, we know who you are, Gibbo," like, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Like, I'm not talking to them. They're people that are wasting my time. They're wasting their own time.
Absolutely. I was going to bring that point up earlier. You know, don't listen. You're
I'm
talking about, you know, proving these things to certain people. Listen, you may have been trying to prove it to the wrong people. You know, the people that you're talking to right now, my audience, they already believe in this stuff. So you don't have anything to prove. So let's just go. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
So again, at the time, right, I didn't have any interests of what I've got now. These interests have been the outcome of that event that I'm going to talk about in depth. And
the contactee event.
Yeah, and because I can't explain what it was. Now, you got to remember, I touched home with my nan. I'm a guy that sits on the fence, you know. I look for logical reasoning with anything in life. I look at it as 50-50, you know. 50% it's this or 50% it's that. And then I try to meet in the middle, find a compromise and say, right, from logical reasoning with this evidence, I believe my opinion is this, right? But with something like this, and it's a personal experience, it affects, like, how you live your life, you know, because
your worldview, it affects your worldview, absolutely.
Certain things that happen, whether it's conversing or it's telepathic or however, it's spoke of. It falls under a massive umbrella, you know. And the old saying goes, once something like that happens and you go searching for the answers, you go into the rabbit hole. The further you go into the rabbit hole, the bigger that rabbit hole becomes, because the more answers you find, the more questions that leads to. And that is the problem I'm having. And then I've thought to myself recently, I've got to shout out one person in particular, right? And I've got mad love for this guy. He's a very, very good friend of mine, yeah? And that is my like, I look at him as like my Jedi master, my guru, you know? He's the guy that puts my head in check when I need it. He's the one that feeds me with logical reasoning because I believe he's got a very high IQ. And that's my friend Alex. That's my friend Alex, right?
Alex,
yeah. I'm not going to divulge his whole name because I haven't spoken to him because I did message him and say, look, can I give you a shout out? And he's asleep. But I know he'd probably appreciate it. But
has he been on any shows?
I don't know. Like I said, he's a personal friend of mine. I've known him for about the best part of 4 or 5 years, probably a little bit longer. He'd come and stay with me for a while, but at a time recently, within the last few years, I was going through a real bad rocky patch. And if it weren't for him, I mean, there's so many other people that I could mention that are around me that are my personal friends. Like, I'd love to shout them all out, but they all know who they are, and I've got mad love for all of them. I've even got mad love for you, man. Like, what you're doing, I think, is inspirational. And I think there needs to be more people in this world that has this information, that divulges it, because it is freedom for everyone to know. Because we're trapped in a dogmatic community where we're believing these, like you said, religious cultists. We're thinking that religion is the structure. No, we've got to believe in something, yeah? But everyone I find that is believing in religion, they're searching to be rescued, bro. they're not believing in it because they want to or because they're enjoying it. It's because they're frightened of dying. They don't know what happens to them when they die, and then they can't find logical reasoning, right? But I'll touch back onto that in a bit later. But again, mad shout out to Alex, because again, without him, I would not have the mental state that I'm at now. Like, again, it took me a while. I promised you a long time ago, bro, that I would do this. And again, I had to find someone that was, you know, I feel spiritually more aware, or in tune with the harmonics and frequencies of the vibrations that not a lot of people are aware of. And he is definitely harmonically in sync with a lot more than what a lot of people realise, or what a lot of people would like to believe, right? So anyways, so with that experience, yeah, with my nan and all that, my dad got angry, and he said, well, why didn't you come to mine? You'd have been safer. You'd never have been in that. And I said, no, Dad, I needed to go there. And he was like, why? Because we had this conversation on the phone. And I said, well, I'm under the impression that I'm crazy because Mum's drilled it into me, you know, my stepdad's drilled it into me, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, no, don't even use the word dad with him. I'm your dad. And I feel for that, you know? But like, I was forced to call him dad up until my dad turned up to my door at the age of 14, when I was 14, and said, I'm your dad. And I was like, what? Like, kind of confused at the matter, you know? I kind of like lost contact with him, and I had it instilled into me that my stepdad was my dad. So that's what I'm saying. From the age of 14, when he was aware and whatnot, that was it. I made my decision.
Okay, so
you know?
let me take a chance. Now we've been recording an hour and a half. Okay.
Yep.
I'm gonna walk over here, take care of something right quick, and then I'm gonna come back, and I want you to go right straight into this contactee experience.
Yep.
For the
All right.
for the last 30 minutes. Okay,
Cool.
thank you.
Yep. Nick, have you took your meds? All right, good man.
welcome to another exciting episode of You Don't Know. This is the third segment right here of the interview with Sean Gibbons from the UK. And now we are going to hear what we've been waiting for, and that is the essence of this contactee experience that Sean has had that had a dramatic effect on his life. Sean, are you still with me?
Yeah, I am.
All right, man. Let's hear it.
Right, so fundamentally, the best part of my life I've spent living in like Norfolk in the UK, and I know in America you got the Roswell incident, which is a big, massive incident. You know, like you had the initial crash landing, and then the second one there was a landing, and then there was J-Rod who come out of that with Dan Bush, right? So that's the America story, right? That's what you guys have, right? So in the UK here, we have another story, but it's not really well known. It's been on Ancient Aliens, it's been on that, but generally speaking, it's called the Rendlesham Forest incident.
Yeah, I know all about it.
Yeah. So typically, that's in a place called Lowestoft, right? And that is literally about 25 minutes up the road in a car from where I am currently right now. So it's quite close, and it kind of symbolises the fact that like I've always been here, you know, and the fact that happened near my birth year as well. I was born in 1989. It's a bit ironic.
Yes, and so you could get in a car right now, and within less than half an hour, you could be at Rendlesham Forest.
Easily.
Fascinating. A lot of weird shit going on there, huh?
Right. So again, now this is what you've been waiting for, man. Right. So there was this one particular day, right? I was in Swaffham. That was where I was living at the time. I just moved back from my dad's, and I'd moved back with my mum because my mum had split now from my stepdad. He was having an affair behind my mum's back. So I was going through a bit of a fucked up time, logically in my brain. I'm now supposed to be like the man of the house, supposed to pay bills, got all this mad crap I've got to do. And I needed an escape route, so I turned to gaming. So I spent a lot of my time, become a recluse for a little while, kind of segmented myself away from a lot of my friends, you know, and then I turned to cannabis for an outlet, right? But on this particular day...
Is that what you were smoking earlier? It looked like you were rolling your own cigarette.
That was just a cigarette. I'm trying to...
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm glad we clarified that for the audience. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But
most people know that cannabis isn't a hallucinogenic. I don't care what anyone says. It can't cause you to have...
Yeah, that's bullshit. I agree. It's not a hallucinogenic.
You know? So... I was smoking a bit of this, but on this particular day I didn't, right? So what happened was I'm just sat in my bedroom, a normal kid, around about the age of 16, 17 sort of time. Yeah, and I'm playing my console, and it was on like a big box TV because it was a PS2, yeah? That's when it was. And oh my gosh, bro! Like the TV screen started doing all this black and white dot fuzzily crackling on the screen. Do you know like when the TV isn't tuned in completely?
Yeah, I'm a certified television repairman.
It randomly just done that. So I was like, okay. I turned the TV off, turned the PlayStation off, unplugged everything, plugged it all back in. Same fucking thing. The minute I turned the TV on. Because the PlayStation was already on, I left it on. Because I just took out like the, like the AV lead, like the red, white, and yellow. Yeah, I pulled that out, turned the TV off because it was the problem from the TV, not the PlayStation. Plugged it back in, and literally the minute I turned the TV on, the same thing again. So I was like, all right. Went into the kitchen, turned the trip switches off. Nothing. Now at this point, I was getting a bit freaked out because I started getting all like these mad tingling sensations all over my body. Now, the only other time I've had that is when these premonition things start happening, right? Now, again, with the premonition thing, I'd already been experiencing certain dreams, and I'd been seeing certain things that just didn't add up, didn't make any sense, but I knew that later on it would, but I didn't know when. And it's kind of where I'm at right now.
Do you need headphones to work on your piano?
So what happened was I I'm there. I'm starting to like get all these mad tingling sensations, and I felt like a static energy come over me. So I was like, "What the hell is this? Is this because of the TV?" So, because obviously when there's that static in the TV with the white and black dots everywhere, that's a build up of static sometimes, or you'll notice that you can see like a lot of dust maybe on the edges of the screen. So I was thinking, oh, right, what's this? So I've literally wiped it with my hand, and I got a static shock. I was like, what the hell? And then from that, I was like, right, I got weirded out, and I'm looking around, and the time lapse wasn't there because I know that my mum had already left for work and gone to work, yeah, and my mum started work at these particular days at one set given time, which was 7:30. She'd typically work from like 7:30 in the evening till about 6 o'clock in the morning, and then she'd come home, she'd sleep during the day, rinse and repeat, right? So I knew that the only reason why I'd be there on my own is because my mum's at work, right? So it must have been 7:30. But yeah, I've checked my watch, and my watch is telling me 5:30. So it was almost like, it was like reversing in time. It was like a time lapse, but I couldn't explain it. But that's how it is.
Was there missing time or added time?
Reversing in time, like going back in time.
Wow,
because,
okay.
like I said, so if my mum's left for work at 7:30, and she's now like no longer in the house, yeah, it's got to be after 7:30. But why is all the clocks in the house and my watch specifically, my digital watch, telling me 5:30?
Okay, but was your mom still in the house when you realized this?
No.
Okay.
She's at work. That's what I'm saying. She'd already left and gone to work.
Yeah, okay, that's fascinating.
So I was like, this is weird. So I've rung my mum. Yeah, I've literally picked up the house phone, rung my mum while she's at work, and I said to my mum, yeah, I'm just wondering, don't panic or anything, but can you tell me what the time is? And she goes, you've got a fucking watch on your wrist. You should know that. Why are you bothering me while I'm at work? And I turned around and said to her, well, I'm having a bit of a problem. And as my mum does, she got really sceptical, and she was like, oh, it's not one of those dodgy moments again. And I said, well, it is, Mum. My watch is saying 5:30. Every clock in the house is saying 5:30. And she goes, no, it's not. It's 7:45. I've literally been here for about 15 minutes. What are you on about? She goes, and then she said, come to my work later on when you know I'm on my break. So I was like, well, Mum, I'm not going to do that. I need to get out of the house. I can't be here. And she goes, well, it could be the weather. Have you even thought about that? Because I explained about TV and the TV and the PlayStation situation.
This is that story you were telling me about, right?
Yeah, so my mum kind of got really weirded out at this point. She's like, it's the weather. She just shrugged it off. It's the weather. You're being delusional. Stop being a fucking moron. Like, that was her biggest line she always used to say. Stop being a moron. Or stop being a muppet. So I was like, Mum, I'm getting out of the house anyways. I'm going to go and do my own thing. She's like, all right, cool. She's like, as long as you come to my work when you want to go home, yeah, I'll be fine, just so I know you're all right. So I was like, okay. Now, I'd already had it in my brain from, like, deja vus, you know, sleep, like, having insomnia. When you do eventually go into sleep, you go into what's called, like, a trance state sleep, right? And because you've been awake, say, 3 or 4 days on the trot, and then you've clicked off, your whole body just shuts down, and you're completely soothed as if you're in a meditating state. Now, my brain is very, very active at all times. I'm always thinking, you know, different things. And all these different dreams led to this moment. I've looked out the window, and there is a cloud lingering halfway over my house and halfway not. And it's not circular.
Other clouds in the sky at that time?
Only one, and it was a big hench grey cloud. But it weren't a circle, it was like an oval. It was like this, ready? Like that. You know? It wasn't a perfect circle, but it was a bit longer than just a circle. Like,
was it a thick cloud, like a cloud you couldn't see through?
Yeah, it was sort of, but again, it had dark bits in it, and it was just generally just dark cloud. But the rest of the sky, it was like, oh, how to explain? it wasn't. Do you know, like when you look outside and it's like either a blue sky or something? Yeah, it was like a mishmash of like white and grey, and it was almost like overcast, but it weren't. If that makes sense. But this cloud was more prominent than anything, and it was halfway over the house and halfway not. Now I was thinking, okay, maybe my mum was right. This is a bit weird because the only rain, yeah, that I could see that was falling down was coming down directly underneath this cloud. Now
that is something I'll get back to that. That is very important.
Now the thing is when I left the house, I was like, right, I need to go to my friends. I need to see what's going on. So I'm getting soaked. But yet when I got to my third friend's house, I could walk in and out of the rain falling.
It was like a wall, wasn't it? It was like a curtain.
Yeah.
You could walk right in. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's exactly like that.
Very important part of the story.
Now I was getting freaked out. Now, because I could hear thunderclouds, I could hear clapping. But it weren't like your stereotypical thunderclap. It was like... it was like the cloud was vibrating and clapping against something to cause that, you know? That's how it felt in my brain. That's how I kind of perceived that. And that's how I could explain it. I can't generally explain it to an extent, but that's my logical way of explaining it that I can like evaluate and use to describe that. Yeah,
I've had an experience almost identical to that, and I'll tell you about that here after a while. Go on.
So I carried on walking around, and then I was like, right, I need to go back to the house. But then, as I'm going back to the house, this cloud has moved. It's instead of it being like over here, and say like my knee is my house, yeah. Instead of it being like this, it's now over here. Like not even over the house.
It's now what?
So say if my knee's the house, it was halfway over the house, but when I was walking back to the house, it was over here.
Yeah.
And it was still raining, you know?
Under the cloud. Really weird. It was raining under the cloud.
It wasn't moving in a formation, and like the wind blowing wasn't in the typical direction of where the cloud was, so it didn't make no fucking sense. Literally, I was completely baffled as to what was going on, but I knew something weren't quite right. And again, no one answered their doors. It was like I said, that time lapse, it was like I'd been rewound in time, but everyone had been paused, except for the people that I'd contacted, like my mum and people I'd spoken to on the phone.
Why do you think the other people had been paused?
Pardon? Yeah, because
why do you think that?
Because I knew my friends were in the house, but no one was answering the doors. Lights were home, but no one's in.
Oh, they were like in a state of suspended animation or something.
Yeah, I couldn't see no one because everyone's got curtains and like, you know, but that's how it felt to me. It felt like I was either being ignored, but then I like I said, at this point, that's how I thought. I just thought I was being ignored. But then after the experience I'm about to explain, I then had this conclusion, like I just explained, that I feel that time lapse was like a rewind in time, yeah, which I had no control over. Everyone was paused around me, yet I'm still motion. I'm still able to function and have a free will and be able to do what I want to do, you know. Now, this is where it gets even more weird. I've gone back to the house. I packed a backpack full of stuff, like biscuits, some sandwiches, some drinks, and other little bits, chocolate bars and that, because I needed to try to find this memory that I had in a dream of a humble, soothing place.
See, this is good. This is important that that's happening, because whatever the spirits are that are with your friend, they're trying to disrupt your story. So keep on going.
So, well, what happened was from there, I packed this backpack and I walked in just a general direction, like a sense, you know? Like, you got to remember, with that static energy that I felt like I had flowing over me, and I'm getting all these like mad shivers and these mad tingles, and I couldn't explain why I was feeling this. Like, I knew that I'd experienced this many a times, but this time it felt more intense. It felt something was going to give. It was either I was going to crumble and collapse, or like something was going to explain, or, you know, I just felt that. I can't explain how I felt it. I just knew I felt that. And like, if I tried to turn and walk in a different direction to the direction that I knew I was walking in, it was like my body was against that, and it was trying to tell my brain, nah, you've got to go in this direction. So I just went on what I felt was the right way to go. And I ended up walking from Swaffham to a place called Cockley Cly, which is a very rural, sort of farmlandish, not many houses, not many shops. Like, if they want to go shopping or they want to go and do shopping, they've got to come into Swaffham. So, like, I felt drawn to this place, you know, and that's what, like, pulled me into there. Like, it was almost like I was magnetised to going to there. Like, I knew I was conscious and I was awake, but I wasn't in control of my bodily functions at this point. Like, something was drawing me there, and I didn't know why. I just needed to get there to figure out what it was, right? So, I've got to this field, and I recognised it in my dream, yeah? Because in my dream, I'd seen cows laying down in a field that are mooing. Now, again, yeah, this cloud had done some weird things along my travels to this point. As this cloud's moving and going over lampposts, they're turning off and then turning back on again. So, if you can imagine, say this lighter here is a lamppost, yeah? And then you've got, say, three lampposts along a road like this, yeah? Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, the three lighters?
Yeah, I see them.
A big one, a purple one, and a blue one, right? But they're lampposts, not lighters, right? What happened was this cloud was going over them. As it was going over them, this one would then turn off. Then this one would turn off. And then this one would turn off. But as the cloud is then passed over, this would then flicker back on. And it's still raining. And it's as if it's not following me, but it's sort of going in a similar sort of direction as such.
It's leading you almost.
Kind of, but like again, like I was walking in a direct path because I'm following like a road. I didn't want to walk on fields at this point. I know I needed to follow like a road or a path to get to a certain field that I could remember in my brain, but I needed to find certain pinnacle points, you know? Like, in all my dreams and in all my like deja vu moments and in my premonitions, I pick out pinnacle points and try to, if it relates to something in real life later on down the line, I can say, well, I've been here already in my dreams, you know? So I got to this field and all this mad stuff's happening and I'm kind of nervous and anticipating, like, what could be causing this? And I know it sounds weird, but I had that sense, you know, that I was going to get the answers that I wanted. Because a lot of shit in my life had happened at this point, and I related it all to the experiences and these problems. I called them problems then. That's why I'm using that term now. But again, I don't look at that now. I don't even look at mental health as a problem. Yeah, it's a part of who you are, and I believe it's a good thing having mental health. People with mental health are more attuned and physically aware of their surroundings because they have this illness, you know. But again, I don't look at it as an illness. I look at it as a good thing. Right, so I got to this field and these cows are laying down and they're mooing hysterically, like, "Rrr, rrr," yeah? But there's no rain. So I thought that was kind of odd. And when I got to this field, there's a verge. So if you can imagine like the road here, there's a verge ditch alongside the road that separates the road from these two fields. That's how I knew this was the right place. I knew because of that ditch. It's the only two fields that had this long fucking ditch, you know? So I jumped across that. As I got across that, there's like a little, like, there's like a hedge that goes all the way around the farm, sort of like field thing. And then there's like another hedge in the middle, you know, in the middle of the field that separates the two fields. And there's a few cows on this one, and then there's more cows in the other field. You know, they're allowed to just, I believe they were allowed to just free roam. But it was just odd why they'd be laying down. I've never seen cows laying down, ever. That was the first ever time. So I was like, okay, I don't know. But again, I've had mad experiences with birds. Like, some birds that have been injured or ill have come to me, like a rook. When I was about 8 or, I don't know, 7 or 8, I think, I was playing golf and an injured rook just flew in front of me. Picked it up, nursed it back to health, flew off. It still flew around. It would fall down or like land on my hand and it would eat a few worms and it'd fly off again. But because it was so attached to me, I had to give it to a woman that was in my town at the time. and she taught it to be, you know, an animal again, as opposed to being like a domesticated bird. But again, with a female blackbird in my dad's garden before this experience had happened. Again, got injured. I said, Dad, I'm going to keep this bird. I'm going to like nurse it back to health like I did the rook. He's like, nah, you can't do that. You know, I was like, why? He's like, it's already suffering. Put it out of its misery. I was like, I ain't going to do that. I was like, I can't do that. He then chucked it in the garden and let the Jack Russells go and mutilate it, literally. Which I don't know. But again, it was severely injured, right? So I've had these weird little things that's happening, like with birds and animals. So I thought maybe the cows are just laying down because they could sense maybe I'm you know, in this state of mind of like I'm feeling something's going to happen sort of thing, and they could probably sense it too. So they probably wanted me to feel comfortable, you know. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to figure everything out still to this day, really, to some extent. So I found the pinnacle point, which was the tree. And again, yeah, it's kind of ironic because Isaac Newton sat under a tree, you know, but this tree wasn't an apple tree, and I think it was just a normal kind of stereotypical acorn sort of tree, you know. It was just a random